What up, everybody? It's Frank Muller back at it again with another video today. You're watching Level Up, Double Down, where we don't play around unless it's video games. Now, if this video was helpful for you, subscribing to the channel is the best way to support my work and see more content like it. According to YouTube's analytics, 98% of you guys who watch my videos aren't even subscribed, which is a sad state of affairs. The more subs I can get, the more YouTube's algorithm can boost my content to reach more like-minded people, which in turn helps the channel grow and allows me to create more and better content for you guys. So consider doing me a solid. That's all I ask, and I hope I can earn your support today. And if you're already subscribed, then I want to express my deepest appreciation for your gesture. So with that out the way, let's go ahead and get things started. So on today's episode, I'll be reviewing the 8BitDo 64 Bluetooth controller, which I've already tested out on a Raspberry Pi 5 right over here. And if you haven't seen that video yet, you can check it out over here, right at the top. Now, I know I'm already late to the party since I'm aware the controller was released to the public sometime back in August of last year, but the purpose of my video is to also offer some enlightenment alongside further insight, which I think could be helpful to anybody in the market looking to buy themselves an N64 controller in 2026. Now, before we could proceed, full disclaimer, all of the 8BitDo N64 controllers were purchased with my own funds. I'm not being paid to review this controller, nor am I sponsored for this video. All of the opinions I express here are my own, and no one's influencing this review that I'll be providing, nor seeing it ahead of time, so there's no shilling on my part. So with that out the way, let the games begin. So, as you can see, I have three 8BitDo 64 Bluetooth controllers in front of me. They all came from Amazon, which I bought at different times. The white one, I bought that back in September of last year for around $28 whenever Amazon had them on sale due to the Analog 3D no longer coming out on its scheduled release date back in August after it was delayed for the third time. The black one, which is right here, I bought that one open box and used mint condition on November 20th, which I paid almost $30 for. Now, to give some background how I arrived at that price, which eventually got discounted, you'll notice that there's still another 64 Bluetooth controller which is still sealed in this box. Well, during Black Friday, I was online scouring Amazon looking for deals and noticed that they had a brand new black one on sale for $26, which was way less than what I originally paid for the used one. So I bought the new black one because I was contemplating and also on the verge of returning the used one that I received due to the price discrepancy. So here's a life hack for you. I decided to call Amazon customer service that very day to explain to them my conundrum. $26 I felt was a great price for the controller that I bought at the time, but it was an insult to pay more for the used one, so I propositioned the customer service representative that if she were to reduce the price of the used one to be either similar or lower than what I paid for the brand new one, then I wouldn't make the return, so she obliged. What I will say is that a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And in a worst case scenario, I could always sell this brand new one later down the line and get my money back or more based on the climate of the secondhand market. So there's a common thing I'm trying to exemplify at this moment, which is that you don't always have to buy everything at regular price as soon as it comes out. If you're patient and vigilant enough while being on the lookout for sales and promotions, you can save yourself a decent amount of money waiting a few weeks to a few months after a product goes live, which is how I buy most of my electronics, since they can depreciate more as time passes, not only making it more affordable, but getting you more bang for your buck for what you get. All right, so now with that out the way, let's go ahead and unbox this controller, the white one, so you can experience what the whole process looks like. So we got the anti-static plastic on it. pristine condition. Then you got the manual, which nobody typically reads. And then you have your USB-A to USB-C cable. All right. So just to go ahead and examine this controller, you got your single analog joystick at the top left, which is contained within the 8-way gate, followed by your traditional D-pad, which I believe is made out of conductive rubber membranes, not dome switches. Moving towards the center from left to right, you got the start button, which its purpose is for enabling turbo mode functionality. Then you have a minus sign or minus button, which is for select, followed by the start button, which is directly underneath that. And then you have the home button, which is depicted as a checkered pattern, which is the 8BitDo logo. Moving towards the right side, you have B, A, then you have the C up, C down, C left, C right. And at the very top of this controller, you have the L and R shoulder buttons. And what differs from the original N64 controller, which I have right over here, instead of the Z button being at the back on the original, you have the Z buttons on both the left and the right. All right, just trying to modernize it, I guess. And also, just to give a little feedback here, the Z buttons at the top is not actually a foreign concept, since Retro Fighters, which is this controller right here, they did the same thing on their controller as well. Last but not least, you have the pair button at the top, which is meant for syncing the controller via Bluetooth. And then you also have the USB Type-C port for charging. And lastly, don't want to forget this, you have the mode button at the back, which is right here. So you have S, which is for switch, and then you have D, which is for the analog 3D. Just to make sure that the controllers are up to snuff and able to perform without issues, let's go ahead and do a firmware update using 8BitDo's update software. Alright, so after doing some quick research on Reddit, I just came to the realization that the update tool from 8BitDo that I was using originally doesn't support the 64 Bluetooth controller, and that you have to resort to using their Ultimate Software V2 or version 2 instead in order to update the controller's firmware. And for good measure, we're going to also update the black one as well. Okay, so now that the update process has completed, while we're at it, since we're on PC, Ares is a multi-system emulator which includes its own N64 emulator, and what we want to do next is use a simple homebrew ROM called USB64 in order to test the controller to assess the overall reliability of the 8BitDo 64 Bluetooth controller, so we can also get a gauge regarding the extent of its dead zone and compare it to both the original N64 controller as well as the Retro Fighters Brawler 64 controller. From the looks of it, the original N64 has less of a distance or less of a parameter when it comes to distance involving the dead zones. So it appears that the 8BitDo controller has a wider parameter or perimeter when it comes to the dead zone. Now, as you can see, the Retro Fighters controller, it's really janky when it comes to this gate. Even though it has 8 points, just like 8BitDo's gate, the problem you run into is there's like cardinal snapping. It has a wider parameter when it comes to the dead zone, but the problem what you run into is that it is so fractured. So when you're moving the analog stick, it feels very fractured. It's like you're moving at increments rather than it being smooth. And even though it has a wider parameter, it's still not even than the N64 controller. But it's nowhere near 8BitDo's controller. And I'd rather use the original N64 controller instead of this one, just due to this. From my perspective, I can appreciate 8BitDo's design language on display here, which harkens back to the original N64 controller, along with the Bluetooth connectivity they integrated into this controller. But my one disappointment was that they didn't include any kind of wireless dongle in the package with their controller, and at the very least, they should have offered a wireless dongle to gamers as a separate accessory for anyone to buy who prefers to use an 8BitDo Bluetooth controller on original N64 hardware, which I thought was a major oversight and a missed opportunity. However, all is not lost, since I was able to obtain a BlueRetro wireless adapter from a company called RetroScaler on AliExpress, which enables Bluetooth connectivity when using the 8BitDo controller. Now, BlueRetro is a wireless protocol that's been open source, so anybody with the necessary building materials can build their own wireless adapter themselves. And in preparation of making this video, I bought a few other items during the Christmas holidays besides this wireless adapter. In order for me to get N64 to display at full HD, I went ahead and bought this Mayflash 1080p HD TV converter, which I bought from Amazon for $20. Although I own my N64, which is right here since 2005, I didn't realize that Super Mario 64 wasn't included in my collection, so I purchased myself a copy of it locally from a seller on Facebook Marketplace for around $25. By no means am I a physical game collector, and I prefer my games to be in digital format since they're a lot easier to manage for preservation purposes, and I'm not trying to buy games at the rate of $25 a pop since they will eventually deteriorate over time. So the last item on my list that I bought was this flash card called the Summer Cart 64 from AliExpress, and it was around $35, and it's open source, and it allows me to store a plethora of digital N64 games on a micro SD card slot. And from what I can tell, the one I bought actually comes bundled with every N64 game that has released. Not sure how I feel about that, since I would prefer to add my own games after the fact, but for someone else who doesn't own any ROMs for emulating N64 games, then I can see this being beneficial to them. However, there are a number of sellers on AliExpress that offer their own variant of the Summer Cart, which can vary since not everything is created equal depending on who you purchase from. For any of you guys who are interested in purchasing any of these items for yourself, I'll be posting links down below in the video description for all the parts and accessories that were purchased and used in this video. In the next portion of this video, I'll be presenting you with a montage showcasing gameplay while using the 8BitDo N64 controller. So, would I consider 8BitDo 64 Bluetooth controller to be a better option than Nintendo's original N64 controller? Hell nah. Call me biased, I don't care, since I grew up using the original N64 controller. However, what I will say is that I do think it's a worthy alternative option, and it operates way better than the Retro Fighters iteration. However, during my testing of the 8BitDo 64 controller, I didn't experience any noticeable cardinal snapping while using the controller, nor was there any noticeable input lag that posed any delayed reaction on screen. And in my last video, I referenced that the 8BitDo 64 controller provided smooth gameplay experience, but to no fault of its own, it lacked usability in modern N64 emulators on Android, due to it lacking a sufficient amount of buttons in which those modern day N64 emulators could take advantage of to remap how it saw fit according to the original N64 controller, making it a poor choice on Android, especially when playing games that require complex button combinations like fighting games. However, when speaking of using the 8BitDo 64 controller on original hardware, I can safely say that my gameplay experience was more than stellar on the original N64 while playing those same fighting games like Mortal Kombat Trilogy. At $40, I don't think it's worth that much, but if you can find it on sale below $30, I would consider that a sweet spot, especially since I paid no more than $25 for the Retro Fighters controller that I currently own, and we all can agree that the 8BitDo 64 Bluetooth controller is a way better option than the Retro Fighters. So, as I wrap up this video, feel free to let me know in the comments, what were your thoughts about the presentation I gave? If you're interested in this type of content as it relates to older generation console hardware and accessories for the N64, hit the subscribe button down below and click the bell icon to turn on all your notifications so you don't miss a thing. And also, if you made it this far into the video, I want to sincerely thank you for watching. So until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Again, this is Frank Muller signing out. Holla at me.